Notes from during class. So one of the things that we can do in Zoom to help kind of make things a little bit interactive is to do polls. And I should have a poll ready to go here. I'm going to launch it. So there's a question. You should have a question there. Just one question. So if you would, please answer that question. So I can see a live feed of how many folks have answered the question. We're up to 76%. So I'm going to say that's good enough. And I'm going to click End Poll. And hopefully you can see the results. Oh, here I see share results. I've got a button here. So you should see the result right now of the poll. Can someone give me a thumbs up to let me know if that's true? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is the thing you can do. You can, as I did in this case, you can preload the polls, the poll questions. It's a great way. I don't know if you've done this before in your Zoom sessions or in your live classes or whatever, but it's a great way to get feedback, of course, from students to ask them if they understood something. One of the things that I've seen during meetings, especially, is we ask our attendees to type their names in chat, right, for attendance. You can actually rely on the reports that are built into Zoom to take attendance. And we've actually always had this, even outside of Canvas, but there's an easy way to do it from inside Canvas, which I'll show you when I get to the demonstration portion. And then, of course, screen sharing. What I'm doing right now, in fact, I'm gonna close this poll. I'm going to change my share and do my full screen instead, because I want you to see what I've done here. So I have this note here, right? It says screen sharing with /present for Google Slides. This is a trick that I learned a while ago, and I really love. So you're looking at my whole screen here. I don't think you can see all of my Zoom windows, but you should see that I have a couple of different browser windows open. I have the presentation that I'm using here. I have my notes that I'm using for my presentation. I've got over here, I have Safari open as well. This is where I am. Oh, that's my student view, excuse me. I've got Safari, here's Safari, where I'm logged in as an instructor, right? That's where I've been doing some of the demonstrations so far. I also have Firefox where I'm logged in as a student, so I can demonstrate things from a student perspective. And what I didn't like about doing presentations, so this is whether it's with PowerPoint or Keynote or Google Slides, is if you're in presentation mode, it fills the entire screen. And I have one computer on my desk, and I don't want to have to mess with multiple computers if I don't have to. So a trick I learned with Google Slides, which is really cool, is if you take your Google Slides URL, right? So there's my URL, there's my Google Slides, right, the presentation that I'm using. And if you take the URL, and it's of course a long string of characters and all that, but at the end, if you add /present, then what Google Slides does is it puts, okay, let's try that again. Present. So I got rid of the word edit. That's why that was a change I made just now. Replace the word edit with the word present. And what it does is it puts the slideshow into presentation mode inside the browser window. So now I have a browser window that I can move around, and I can, once, when that browser window is active, I can keyboard navigate through the slides. I can also hover my mouse down here, and Google gives me a, I can go straight to a slide if I want to. And I found that really slick. And those of you who have attended meetings when I was president of CRC's Academic Senate, this is exactly what I did. Is I had a presentation to help me with the meeting agenda. I had my notes on the side, and then I put the presentation into present mode within the browser window. It gave me I could use all my screen real estate. And the other thing that's nice about that is if I don't need if I don't need to see the contents of the slide itself, oops, I can shrink the window, right? I can make it smaller on my end. And if I do the screen share with just that window from the participants end, right, it's a normal screen share. It fills the entire thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I do need my slides. So I'm going to do a new share. I'm going to see if I can switch in the middle of a share straight to that. I think I can. Okay. So that's the screen sharing. And then there's one other thing that I learned just recently when this has been recently added to Google is I'm going to do a new share. And when so I don't think I can show this to you because I'm the presenter right now, but I'm enabling screen sharing. And within the screen sharing interface, there's a button that says advanced. Here, why don't I do it? I'll take a screenshot and then I'll share the screenshot. Let's do that. Okay. This image I have on the screen here is a picture of the screen share options, right? And you see that there's a button up there that says advanced at the top. So the basic is what we're used to if we do screen sharing, right? Where I, share a particular window or the entire screen. A portion of the screen is an option here. You see a couple of other options, but I'm going to do slides as virtual backgrounds. And I think this is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do a new share. I'm going to select advance, go to slides as virtual background. And this only works if you are using PowerPoint on a Windows computer or Keynote on a Mac. So sorry, Chromebook users. If you're using Keynote on a Mac, the presentation itself must be a Keynote presentation. In other words, saved as .key, not PowerPoint open, using Keynote. So I'm going to show you I just think this is the coolest thing ever. So I'm opening Keynote, and what you'll see is me. I'm inside my presentation. Isn't that cool? And I can look up, I can say, hey, class, today's lecture is about the 1960s liberation from the tyranny of consensus. And then within the Zoom interface, I can navigate through my slides. If I don't like my placement, like I'm blocking some of the words right now, I can slide myself over, and again, I can do those kinds of things. Let's see. So I'll go and advance through that, right? And again, it's a way to make the content of my presentation bigger, more important within the Zoom interface. So you can't see this right now, but within the Zoom interface, I have my own windows there, so I can see if I put my hands too far out, for example, right? They disappear because they're outside of my camera view, so I can bring them back in. So I think that's pretty cool. I really like that, and I want to share that. It's something I just discovered. It was recently added to Zoom not too long ago. Yeah. Okay. So that was that slides as a virtual background is what it's called. And then finally, during a class, what I think a good idea is to chunk your lecture, chunk your presentations into 10 minutes or less, or again, maximum 15, and insert breaks in there. Because if you do that, it'll be easier for you to chop up that video so that you can reserve it to students so they can review what was going on in the future. So one example of how you can do that is, hey, you know what? You might pause and ask your students to type questions during lecture and then take a break to answer them, which is what I'm going to do right now.